Um, gonna start off this call. You guys aren't going to be surprised by this because I'm going to start off this call with some wins. Would love to hear how you guys are winning. Like I've said before, it's tough stuff being a business owner. Not every day you feel like you're winning. And when you're not where you're trying to get yet, you can feel like you're failing. But we have to recognize those small wins, those process wins. We have to celebrate them. We got to be able to look back and say, this is where I was last week. This is where I am this week. And look at the progress. And so if anybody has a win, whether it is small or large, we would love for you to unmute and just share. Know who else needs to hear it today. Anybody?
Well, I got one for you. I am calling from Tortuga, British Virgin Islands, so that's my win for today.
Scott, I am so jealous.
Heck yeah.
That's
That's awesome.
incredible. Are we going to
That's
be meeting tomorrow morning with you being in the Virgin Islands or?
We are, yes,
Okay, okay.
working vacation.
I love it. I love it. I wasn't
uh,
going to make you meet on vacation, but it sounds like a plan to me. I'm very jealous.
yep. Next step is a vacation.
Yes, yes.
That's awesome.
Anybody else have a win that they want to share? Like I said, small or large, we'd love to hear it. If you can't, if you don't have a microphone, you want to type it in the chat, you're more than welcome to do that. I know it's hard to follow up, Scott. We all wish that we were on the beach somewhere on vacation.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I've got a couple of wins that
yeah.
I'm willing to share here. I think sometimes clients are more willing to share personally with a coach than they are in a group, but I want to build your confidence. Like I said, you don't know who else needs to hear it today. They might be where you're at or trying to get where you're at. Just that encouragement goes a long way. But CD's construction, his name's Clayton. He is in a tiny little town in Oklahoma, which is where we're at, but he's a little further than us. It's called Kingston, Oklahoma. I've lived in Oklahoma my whole life, didn't even know Kingston existed. That's how small it is. Okay. Um, and he has gotten 5 leads from Google in the past week. He landed 1 new home build, so that's a huge project from it, and he's got 3 more estimates coming up for the rest of the week. And so wanted to celebrate him and encourage anybody, if you are in a small area, these things still work. I promise that there's still people looking for what you do. I promise that the tricks that we're going to talk about today with Google are still going to work for you. I don't care what industry you're in, where you are located. What we're going to be talking about today is relevant to you. I see Jason with Alicorp Plumbing here, and that is so. I love that you're here, Jason, because I was literally looking this morning as you being one of my examples for mastering Google today. So appreciate you being on the call. Jason, if you're willing, do you remember how many reviews you had when you first started with Redmond Growth? You had quite a few. Do you remember?
I don't remember the exact amount. I don't think it was very many at all, really. Um, but it may have been 30 or 40. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well,
It's been
let
so
me.
long.
I know it has been. Jason, I think you are my longest term client. I think we're over 5 years now, which is
Dang.
awesome. But showing you guys his Google business listing, he has 470 reviews now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a lot
Hmm.
of reviews. Um, and again, we've been working together for I think close to 5 years now. So it's not an overnight thing. But he started to rank in the 3-pack for his area, I think when we got over 100 reviews. And now he's just dominating. He's the clear choice in his entire area for anything plumbing. And so just that consistency, consistently getting those reviews goes a long way. Okay, well, I'm going to jump in here unless we have did anybody have any of these new people that jumped in? Anybody have a win that they want to share before we get going here?
Um, Yeah, I'm
Rudy?
the new one that jumped in here.
Shame.
I Terra Insulation got 100 reviews here this last week, so just happened to stick with the review theme here. But yeah, they're an insulation company, so they don't meet 5 new customers unlike Jason every day. I'm just kidding. No, it takes a lot of work, no matter where you're at, no matter what your industry. It's so important just to make the most of every opportunity. But I won't get into Nicole's chat here.
Presentation. Well, I'm
but
glad you're
yeah,
already fired up about it, Rudy. So you can join in later whenever you're feeling it to
but no,
really.
yeah, definitely glad they were able to get to 100, the 3 digits, because every opportunity it can feel like in the beginning there's so many reviews to get and so few opportunities, but they are consistent. So I like to brag about that.
Yes. Well, I think you guys probably know what we're going to be talking about here today, just from the wins that we chose to share. But what we're going to be talking about is the #1 lead generator. Whether you have been a client forever, Jason he's been a client for almost 5 years, and he has over 400 reviews. Whether you've been in business for decades, whether this is your first group coaching call or your second, no matter how long you've been a business owner, no matter how long you've been with Redmond Growth, this is relevant to you. And what we're going to be talking about primarily is Google and Google reviews. We're going to be covering a few different things. We're going to be covering why Google. This is a question I get asked a lot. This is a question that came up a lot when COVID happened back in 2020. What other search, is Google still king? We're going to cover what is a Google business listing. If you asked any of the coaches here today what the #1 thing is for your marketing, we're going to tell you that. It's your Google business listing. So we're going to go over that. How to make this routine. Maybe you've been a client for a long time, but you kind of go feast or famine when it comes to the reviews. You're either on a hot streak of getting a ton, and then you'll go a couple months without getting them. Or maybe you've struggled to rank for a long time. We're going to talk about overcoming those things today. How do you make this a habit, make it a routine? And then most importantly, for you clients who have been clients for a long time, we're going to talk about what is next. Nicole, I know the importance of Google reviews. We're getting Google reviews, my ranks. What do I do now? Is this just the end of the road? Can I go anywhere else from here? And so we're going to talk about these 4 things here in this group coaching call today. I chose this photo not because I play chess. I don't. There's a few guys in the office who play chess every day. When I come back home or come back to the office from my lunch break, Rudy, Bryce, and Caden are sitting hunched over a chessboard playing chess.
And anyone can join if they want to. Just add me on chess.com.
It's true. He will play. And I think Rudy's the undisputed chess king in the office.
Honestly, Caden has held his own. I'm gonna say it's a 50-50, or we just need something to determine that at some point. So
Yeah,
the last few days it's been him.
Caden's not in this call. If Caden is,
yeah,
he would have something to say about it. Well, when it comes to internet, when it comes to online, anything, Google is king. They are the undisputed heavyweight champion, and they will never get dethroned. I put this graph here just to really, hone in and really prove this point. When we tell you guys that there's no use in spending your energy on other search engines unless you're dominating Google, it's coming from a place of fact. We are not pulling that out of thin air. It's not because we just personally like Google or that's what we know the best. It's because over 91% of searches worldwide is done on Google. Less than 9% is distributed amongst these other search engines. And there's other search engines out there too. DuckDuckGo, I know, is kind of but even saying that, 9% of worldwide population is going to be distributed amongst these other search engines that are not Google. So yes, is there a population? Is there a group of people that are not using Google? Absolutely. But over 91% is using Google. And so they are the undisputed leader when it comes to search volume. I would even go so far to say they are a necessary evil, whether you like Google or not, whether you like that they get to be king or not. If you are a business owner and you are wanting to grow your company and you are wanting to make this your legacy or make this your retirement plan, you have to learn to work with Google. You have to learn to do Google well. There's no better way to grow a business or lead. And I kind of wanted to take a moment here as we talk about search engines, as we talk about search traffic, and I want to touch a little bit about what SEO is. In fact, I want to ask a question, and if I could get a show of hands, if you could tap in the chat or click that little hand raise button for me, I would love to know who here in the past month has gotten a call from a marketing company talking about SEO. Can I get a show of hands? I see Scott hands go up. Brett, I
Chris,
see
we
you.
got one over
Jason, I
there.
see you. Yes. If a
George,
marketing
I
company
see you.
calls you, they're probably going to throw out the term SEO. And why that is because that is the most popular term. It's the most common term that these marketing companies use. And what it stands for is search engine optimization. And Google is a search engine. So they're talking about business, your online presence, so that it's ranking on that search engine, which is Google, because Google's the most popular. I'm going to share a different screen with you guys. Everybody can see this Google search here. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. I know that a lot of you probably already understand what this is, but I think it's worth going over. Because when marketing companies call you and they talk about SEO, they're not talking about getting you here. This is Google Local Services. Most of you are familiar with that. If you're not, ask your coach. We've got a lot of a lot of stuff to help you out with Google Local Services. Okay, so this is not SEO. It's not even this. This is Google AdWords. These are the pay per click guys. They're paying to be here. Now, SEO sometimes gets lumped into the map section of Google, and it's technically is SEO, search engine optimization. It's getting here to where you're in the top 3. Mr. Gutter is one of our clients. You can see he has 813 reviews. He is dominating both for Google Local Services and for Google My Business. But when most marketing companies call you and they talk about SEO, what they're talking about is getting your website to page 1 of Google and getting it here. This is what we call organic rankings, organic website rankings, organic SEO. That's what most of those companies are talking about. And although it is nice to be on page 1 of Google organically, it's never going to be the primary way that you get leads. Marketing companies just use that because it tends to be the thing that people are the most familiar with is how do you get my website to rank? Or do you guys do SEO? What is SEO? You know, what we're focusing on here today is how to get you here. Okay. And so I just wanted to explain that. Does anybody have any questions about that? I kind of gave Cliff notes. We're feeling pretty good. Or maybe we have so many questions. We're going to wait till the breakout room, which is totally fair. Okay, so going back to our PowerPoints. Google is a necessary evil, guys. I don't care about your political standings. I don't care if you like it or not. If you want your business to grow, if you want it to be your retirement plan, if you want to dominate an area, we've got to just emotionally accept Google is number 1, and I'm going to have to do whatever I need to do to get onto page 1 of Google, to be able to rank. And so it's a necessary evil. And the number 1 thing when it comes to getting onto page 1 of Google and really utilizing Google is going to be your Google business listing. Well, I just showed you guys. I took a screenshot here of Mr. Gutter. He has 813. My screen, he had 811. reviews. He is the clear choice. Why would you call anybody else? He's ranking number 1 in the 3-pack in the map section of Google. Now, this is a free billboard on the busiest highway in the US. Getting your Google business listing to rank, 91% of searches are done on Google. If you can show up in your town in the top 3, you're going to get the bulk of the search traffic. And here's the best part. The clicks, the calls, what you get from here are free. You're not getting charged for them. It's just free. It's an incredible tool. If you ask any of the coaches today, what's the number one thing you can do for your company and your marketing? We're going to tell you it's getting your Google business listing to rank. And the number one way that you do that is through reviews. Reviews are the prime. Go ahead, Bryce.
I'm just going to add in here, if you're a client with us, which all of you are, you're a client with us, you have certainly heard all of us talk about this, and it sounds like a broken record, and you may be saying, man, I'm just tired of hearing the same thing. We're not going to say something different because it doesn't change. The truth is the truth, and this is what we really want to hammer in.
Amen. We will die on this hill. We will die on the hill of Google reviews. And it's exactly what Bryce just said. We know that this is the most cost-effective way for you to get leads. And not only is it a way to get more calls and get free calls, but also if you are the highest rated and most reviewed, that means you are a premium service and people are going to come to you expecting a premium price. You're not going to have to fight people so much if you're just a random Chuck in a truck with 2 reviews on your Google business listing. That's not a ton of validity. But look at Mr. Gutter here. His competitor underneath him has 173 reviews. He has 811. If I call Mr. Gutter, I'm going to know this guy's going to provide a better service for me. This guy deserves to charge a premium price. He is clearly the authority in this area, the undisputed champion of gutters in OKC, and he deserves to charge a premium price. So not only is it going to get you more leads, it's going to get you better leads. People are going to be more sold on you by the time they call you, so they're going to be less combative, and you're going to have less resistance on your pricing because people know that you are a premium service. Now, not only do Google reviews help you rank in the maps section, but your Google business listing, the reviews that you get on there also transfer over to Google local services, which we would probably say is the second best way to get leads. If it applies to you, if you're able to get on Google local services, one of the best third-party lead generators out there, if not the best. And so not only are these reviews going to help you rank here in the maps section of Google, but it's help up here in the top of Google local services. You guys can see that Mr. Gutter shows up in the top 2 there with his 814 reviews. And so not only is this hard work going to help you in the maps section of Google, but it's going to help you with Google local services as well. Now I want to be clear. This is the only thing that's connected between the two of them. Your Google business listing is completely separate from your Google local services, except for the reviews. And the reviews that you get on Google My Business transfer over to Google local services, but the reviews you get on Google local services do not transfer over to Google My Business. I don't make the rules. Again, Google gets to be king here. I don't know why that is, but that's the only thing that's connected between the two of them. Any questions about that? I know we're getting kind of into the nuances here. Those are the 2 most valuable positions you can be in, because those are the 2 first things that pop up when people search on Google, is Google local services and then Google My Business. And the reviews that you get on Google My Business are going to help you rank with both.
Yep. I will also add that it helps rank your website as well. When Google has its crawlers searching the internet, that SEO is a part of, or sorry, the reviews are a part of that SEO too, even though it doesn't seem that way. And I will say too, to Nicole's point, it's like thinking about it as a one-way mirror. When your reviews from your Google business listing show up on your Google local services, but not the other way around, it just passes one way. A lot of guys will ask, hey, what the heck? Why do I have a different number of reviews on these 2 listings? Why aren't my reviews showing up? Let's call Google. Well, It's not actually that. It's just a one-way mirror. It shows up on both. But this helps Google organic, local services, and your website organic.
I'll throw out there, and Nicole, if this is like getting into your next slides, then you can just tell me to shut up
Okay.
or let me go on. But I just want to bring this up just in case, because I know that this is often a big sticking point. We can emphasize the dramatic importance of reviews for your ranking, and then you may search in your area and say, well, this doesn't make any sense. Why is it the first 3 people in the listing showing up have 10 reviews and I have 50 reviews and I'm not up there with them? Well, it's because it's bottom line. Doesn't mean reviews don't work. It just means that it is the weightiest factor in your control is the Google reviews. There are other factors at play, your physical location, where the person is searching from. And so if you want to throw your hands up and say, well, this doesn't work, I'm not going to get reviews anymore, I don't recommend that. I've seen it work very, very well for everyone who stays consistent. So maybe not your particular search will make sense sometimes, and don't try and understand a complicated algorithm that really no one and the best SEO companies can't even give you an exact formula for. Don't waste your time with that. Just take our word for it. Reviews will always be worth it.
Yes.
No matter what, you can reason out of here and say, why am I not up here? Just get reviews and do everything else we're telling you to do on that. That's all I want to say.
Consistency is absolutely key here. And that brings me into my next slide. You might be saying, Nicole, we do kind of go in feast or famine, or maybe I completely rely on Redmond Growth to run Google review campaigns for me to get reviews. And that's the only time I get reviews is when you guys are getting it for me. And I think why this is, and I could be totally off base here, but it's a little bit uncomfortable to think about asking somebody for a Google review. You might feel a little insecure about it. It'd be like, Nicole, you wouldn't just go up to a random person and say, give me a free compliment, like it's a little bit uncomfortable. It's a little bit nerve-wracking to ask people for reviews, which is why I put this quote here just to kind of build our faith. If you do good work for good clients, it will lead to other good work for other good clients. If you do bad work for bad clients, it will lead to bad work for other bad clients. And I would go out on a limb here and say that most of our clients do good work for good people, and that's going to help result in more good work. And the best way for that domino effect to happen is having those good customers leave you Google reviews, because that's going to lead to more good customers and more good work.
Yeah, what I'll add to this is the idea of, I guess, the snowball effect, but capturing reviews is capturing word of mouth. We're in the digital age. Whenever you have a business that exists solely on word of mouth and referrals, this is how you translate that into an actual promotable word of mouth referral base. This is the same thing. That's organic. Woo! That's organic through getting Google reviews.
Getting emotional talking about it over here.
I just gotta hold myself together.
And what I will say, guys, I know that this is a little harsh. I'm going to go over some ways that you can will consistently help you get reviews. But what I will say before that is you are the only person standing in your way of getting reviews. You could give me every excuse in the book. Nicole, I'm a remodeler. I don't have a ton of customers. I've asked. They told me they left one and they didn't. They don't have Gmails. I, sent them the link. They said it didn't work. I hear it every day. I get many excuses. But then we have clients like Terra Installation who just decides, you know what? I'm just going to get the frickin' reviews. Forget the excuses, forget the BS, forget the reasons. I'm going to get reviews. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to hold myself accountable. And I'm going to just emotionally accept not everybody's going to leave me one. I might have to ask a couple of times. I might have to help somebody figure out how to log into their Google account. And you just emotionally commit. This is the most important thing that I can do for my branding, for my marketing, for my lead generation. I'm committing to doing this. Now, keep it simple. There is a review link. If you do not have a link to your listing that takes people right to your reviews, please email your coach so they can send it to you or show you how to get it. How to get this link. If you are not texting it to people when you ask for a review and asking them to click on it to make sure that it works, your chances of getting that review are significantly reduced. You have to keep it simple. It's got to be simple for them. Text them that link, ask them if it works, make sure they click on it. If you can do that while you are still in front of them, so that if they have questions, that's going to give you the best chance of success. Keep it simple. Send them a link.
I'll throw this on here, and I think kind of goes into point 3. Well, we should tag team. This is great. No, if you're not at the very least getting one review, and I'm just going to throw out a number here, one review for, I'd say at the minimum, every 4 customers you do work with. Now this is at the very least, if you're not at least getting 25% of reviews from 100% of your work, then we have got to seriously question your method, and something has to change if we're not at least getting that. If you're getting that, there might be better ways to do some things. And I get sometimes there's, oh, I don't have a Google account, or they're very old, they don't actually have an email, or they said they would do it, but they didn't. Well, there's ways we can help with that. But if you're not getting at least, I'd say, unless there's a better figure you think across the board, I'd say at a very minimum 1 review for every 4 customers, then we've got to seriously reconsider what we're doing and read the slide about 10 more times.
Yes, and that does go hand in hand with having goals and accountability. I would love for you to set with yourself or with your team to say, hey, for every 5 jobs, I need 2 reviews. If I cannot get 2 reviews, I need an explanation as why, and it needs to be valid. If I call that customer and they tell me that you did not ask and you're telling me that you asked, that is a problem. We're going to have a problem. Let's make these goals very tangible. Let's make them very clear. If you're a service company, that means that on average, probably your guys are going to 3 or 4 jobs per day. Then they need at least to get 3 to 5 reviews per week. And that's very doable. If they're going to 3 to 5 jobs per day and all they need to get is 3 to 5 reviews in a week, you cannot tell me that that is not achievable if you are asking and sending the link. We've got to be consistent here. So set those goals, make them very tangible, review them during your team meetings, have a chart, have a whiteboard, have a spreadsheet that we're pulling up, make it very public, very tangible. So your whole team is on the same page. What is our goal? And hold each other accountable. We have a whole group call about this, how to get your team to implement change and how to hold them accountable. So if you are struggling with that, let us know. We'll send you a link to that group call. You can also incentivize customers. You can incentivize your team. I get asked this a lot. Is Google going to get mad at me if I'm paying for reviews? And the short answer to that is yes, Google does not like that if you are paying for reviews. The long answer to that is as long as it is not written down anywhere, there is no way that Google is ever going to know. And that doesn't mean that you're going, up to strangers and handing them $5 for a review. We did have a client that did that, but that was not our recommendation. What it does mean is you can say, hey, do you know how you can get $10 off of your ticket today? I'm going to send you this link. If you leave us a review and show it to me before I leave here, I'll go ahead and give you that discount and take $10 off of your ticket. There's no way Google's going to know that that's what you're doing. It incentivizes the customer. You can also incentivize your team. And I'll say that I see this as being the most effective way of getting reviews. And by incentivizing your team, you would have them say, hey, customer, I've really loved working for you today. I'm so glad we were able to take care of your problem. I'm going to text you this link. It actually really helps me out. In fact, I get a little bit of a bonus per review that I get. Would you mind clicking the link and leaving us a review? It really helps me out. Why that's so effective is because we're pulling it at some emotions. This is somebody who just fixed my toilet or did this for me or remodeled my kitchen. And now they're telling me that the thing I could do to help them out is by just simply clicking on this link and leaving them a review.
I can attest to this 1,000,000%. Every review I have left that someone has asked me for, they framed it in a way that really benefited them. And I was like, you know what? I got your back. I'm going to leave this review. Just they personally ask me, say, could you help me out? This would be a really good favor for me. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But if they just hand me the receipt and say, fill out, a review and for a chance to win $500 and make it sound like a robotic
Never
transaction, I'm like,
happens.
I don't really care for a chance to win $500 because I'm not going to win anyway. And it's okay. I don't need the review. But if I know I'm helping somebody out, I am
Right.
significantly more likely to do it, especially when they follow up.
And we do love QR codes. We love making it easy. But what the downside of that is sometimes if we have like a Google review card or something, it makes it feel like we don't have to ask anymore. We just like hand it to somebody or say, hey, you could leave us a review here. No, we've got to engage. We've got to build that rapport. We need that emotional aspect of it. I would much rather have somebody manually texting a link compared to just throwing a Google review card at somebody and telling them the QR code. And
If you
so,
have a QR code, make them scan it while they're there and say, that's a good,
yes.
let's see if this QR code works. And of course, when they scan a QR code, they have to tap on the link. So it's going to be on their phone anyway. So that's
Yes.
if you have a QR code, that's the only way you should be doing it.
And like we said earlier, this is only going to be effective if we're consistently doing it. If we mentally accept that we're probably going to have to follow up with some people who said they left us a review and never did. People have great intentions, but are perpetually distracted, and we're ultimately a little bit lazy. So you might have to ask a couple of times. That's okay. A very effective way of doing this is either you or your technicians are asking out in the field, exactly the way we just talked about, and then your office manager is going through the customer list and calling people a couple days later to confirm their experience and ask for the review if they ended up not leaving one. That's a very simple way to actually build value while also benefiting by. So let's be consistent. Let's be tenacious. Let's not be emotional about it. Let's just do what needs to be done and get the frickin' reviews. Now, for those of you who have been a customer for a long time, Alicorp Plumbing, great example of this, and it's something that we're actually getting ready to do together, is if you're like Mr. Gutter, where you are ranking in your town for Oklahoma City, that's where his listing is. He has 800 and something reviews. His closest competition has 175. He is dominating. We're not really worried about him losing that ranking. What would be next would be, well, first, let's get into this first. Let's make sure that you're doing everything outside of reviews as well. Okay, so if you are not responding to reviews, this has recently become more important. So respond to reviews, make posts, upload photos. You can send photos and we'll optimize geotag and upload them for you. We love doing that. And so if you're getting reviews, but you're still not ranking, or even if you are ranking, but you're not doing these things, let's make sure that you're doing these things first. If you're doing that, you're in the position that Mr. Gutter is in. The next step is getting a second listing in a surrounding town. Few little caveats here. I know I'm opening a little bit of a can of worms here, coaches, but few little caveats here. PO boxes will not work. Virtual office spaces will not work. You need to have a physical address. Sometimes shared office spaces will work as long as you have a specific suite number that nobody else has that can receive mail. But the next step would be getting a second listing in a surrounding town. Whole House Cabinetry is a good example of this. We have listings for them. They're in a tiny little area in Minnesota, and they've got 3 listings in surrounding towns. All 3 of them are ranking in the 3-pack. But you don't want to do this unless your current listing is already ranking in that town. And what Bryce and Rudy kind of touched on earlier, reviews are the number one way to get your listing to rank, but there's other factors that come into play. If I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, my listing, the address on that listing is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, It is not realistic to think that my listing is going to show up in Oklahoma City. That's 2 hours away. Even if I have that as a area I serve, or even if I do serve that area, your listing is going to show up primarily in the town that it is connected to. Really, no matter how many reviews that you get, you're going to just show up in that town. So if you're trying to dominate an entire area or get more leads in a surrounding town that you're in, then it might be time to create that second listing. And we can help you. If you don't try to do this by yourself, ask your coach. We have so many videos that can help you with it. We can even get on laser call and do it with you. But remember, it needs to be a physical address that can get mail. We can make the address hidden if we need, if it's like a residential. Just PO boxes will not work.
Yeah, this is a very this method here requires a number of intentional steps, and really something you would need to consult with your coach about for sure. So
Yes.
there's ways to do this that's not going to benefit you if it's too close to where you currently are and you're already ranking. You don't need 2 listings in the same place. You need
No.
to be far enough. Depending on how competitive it is, there's a lot of factors to really think about. And so and a lot of research
Right. And I
involved
don't
with this.
even want you thinking about it unless you are like Mr. Gutter, who is already has 600 more reviews than his nearest competition, and he's just smoking them in his town. You know, he's just dominating. Okay. We're only thinking about this if we've already done everything else that we talked about in this slide, and we're number 1 in the 3-pack, and we've got a significant lead on everybody else. That's when we have this conversation.
Testimonial on my end. Marathon Plumbing and Surface Renew have both done this. And Surface Renew has like 3 or 4 listings, and they rank in the 3-pack with pretty much almost all of them. And Marathon Plumbing did not do this until they had at least 150, maybe close to 200 reviews on their first listing. And now they dominate in the 3-pack in both areas, in Beaumont, Texas, and Port Neches, Texas. I mean, this works, but don't get to it so early that you forget your foundational listing.
Right, because we want to focus on one thing at a time. You know, it's kind of the be fruitful, then we want to be fruitful in our area. We want to be fruitful with that listing. We want to show consistency. And then once we've proven that we're reaping the benefits, that's when we can branch out. Now, another thing, you might be a company like Copper Peaks Plumbing, who when they first started with us, all that they did was plumbing, hence the name, Copper Peaks Plumbing. But now they have a whole HVAC brand. So now they're Copper Peaks Home Services. Your listing has a primary category on it, and it will only show up pretty much for that primary category. So if you are listed as a plumber as your primary category who also does HVAC, you're going to have a much easier time ranking as a plumber than for HVAC, even if you have HVAC as an additional service. And it's because Google really focuses on that primary category. And so if that's the case that you are in, it might be worth getting another listing. And again, this is something we'd love to hold your hand on. Contact your coach, book a laser call, say, hey, this is something I think would benefit me. This is something I think we need to do. Let's talk about the best way of getting her done. And we would love to talk to you about it and help you with it. These are, again, kind of big picture things if you've already done everything else we talked about today. Now, we've got some time here. And so this next slide's kind of a fun one. I wanted to brag on a couple of different clients here who are just consistently getting reviews, consistently killing it. I saw Honors Plumbing on this call earlier. I don't know if Dale's still on here. I've got Alicore Plumbing here, Bear, Garden Diva, one of my clients. And then I even threw us on here as well. Who can testify to the power of Google reviews? Who can say, you know, this is what it's done for me. I get blank amount of calls. Dale, if you're able to unmute, please do. If not, for you to share kind of your story and the benefits that you see. Anybody else, can you kind of unmute and share? Scott, if you're able to.
Yeah. So we're a brand new company, maybe 9 months in business. We started with one tech. I think at the end of November, we had around 100 reviews. Right now, today, we're sitting at 146.
Come on.
So we're consistently in the top 3 in local services. And we're getting a lot of calls organically at this point. Leads that we're not paying for through our website. We started out needing third-party lead services. A couple months in, we totally dropped any lead services other than local services. We use
Amazing.
we use this system of our techs talking to the clients, asking for the reviews, telling them they get a bonus. So basically, if you want to tip us on this job, the best thing you can do for us is leave us a review. We give them $10 for each review that they bring in,
Beautiful.
and they're consistently bringing in reviews every week.
Yes.
So,
And again, guys, something I want to emphasize that Scott said, this is their first freaking year in business. They've not even been in business for 12 months. They don't have a backlog of customers that we were able to send and ask for emails. They were starting from scratch. I've got his listing pulled up here. And you guys can see he's got 139 reviews. Look at the performance for January, looking at his listing. They got 33 calls from that listing just in the month of January. Those are free. He didn't get charged a dime for those. He also got 40 website clicks. So somebody may have filled out a form through his website. They could have called the phone through the website. You know, just the power of these things. Now, the only third-party listing site he has to pay for is Google Local Services. They keep busy in between those two things. Again, first year in business. It's just phenomenal. Anybody else can kind of testify to the power of Google reviews and their experience before we jump into breakout rooms here?
Chris. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. So we've been in business 16 years. We're a remodeling company, but I've never been a technology guy. And we had 15 reviews or something like that. And we finally been doing a big push with Bryce and stuff. During this meeting, I've gotten alerts for 2 reviews, 5-star reviews that came in during this meeting, actually. So it's kind of fun. We've got 5 this week. We got 5 reviews this week. And so it's kind of a big, finally actually seeing it go into fruition and come into full circle as we're doing these email campaigns to get reviews from past customers and all that type of stuff. And actually we're, adding 5 a week instead of, 15 over the last 15 years, type of thing. So.
And that is such a good point, Chris. What we always tell people is, maybe you have been in business for 10, 15 years and you only have a handful of reviews. It's because most of the time, the only people who are motivated enough to leave reviews without being asked are people who are angry. And so you might have, a negative review or something. And that's because those people are motivated. Even if you did the most beautiful job in the world, unless you ask for a review, that person's not thinking about leaving you that review. And so you have to be intentional in asking that. And Chris, I also love that you said, I'm not really tech savvy. I feel like every client that tells me that thinks that they're my only client that feels that way. When in fact, 98%
This is true.
of our
This is
clients
very true.
do not feel confident tech-wise, and that's totally fine. I promise. I saw Dale raised his hand again, saying he felt that way too. And that's another client who has over 600 reviews, and when he first started, I think had 11. And so just that consistency there. But yeah, it's okay if you're not tech savvy. These things that we can teach you guys is very easy. We've got videos, we can make it so easy for you. I see Dale, you just put in the chat, reviews have been a game changer for us. We stay about a week scheduled out these days after being in business over 20 years with only 20 reviews to over 100 reviews. That's phenomenal.
Out there as well. And Dale, thank you for sharing that. That's absolutely amazing. But I'll throw this out here as well, is that I know we're throwing a bunch of 3-digit review count numbers out there, 100, 300, 700. That can be intimidating. Know that there are people that I've worked with and work with here who have gone from 0 maybe 3 reviews to 40 reviews and completely changed the course of their business forever. They went from 1 to 2 leads every month to 2 to 3 leads every business day. CL Balmer is the one I'm thinking of in this case. And that, I'm not saying, hey, if you get 40 reviews, that's what's going to happen for you. Just if you're in an industry where it's much more difficult to get reviews, here's the news is that your competitors are dealing with the same problems. So just know that doing the best job you can will always be worth it. And even if you're in a very competitive market, it's always worth it. Just start where you're at and go from there. But these benefits can happen quickly. You just start with where you're at. You don't have to be at 600 reviews for it to work.
Absolutely. I gave that win at the beginning of the call of CD Construction, who's in tiny little town of Kingston. I didn't want to say how many reviews that he has because I didn't want people thinking that that's the amount that they need to start getting those same results. He has 2 reviews, guys. He has 2 reviews, and he's ranking in Google Local Services and in the Maps section for his town of Kingston, which is very, very small. Now, I would argue that if he got more reviews, he'd have an easier time selling and be the real clear choice. So we're still working on that. But even with just those 2 reviews for his tiny little town, he's starting to get results. Dale didn't just start getting results here with past 700. He started being able to add on more members to his team when he got past 50. It's just that consistency is going to continue to pay off for you. You don't need to be in those double digits to start really seeing the effects that getting those reviews is going to have for you. Well, we've only got 12 minutes left. And so let's go ahead and jump into those breakout rooms and so that we can help you guys if you have any more questions. But really appreciate the participation today, guys.
Yep. All right. And these breakout rooms, again, we just want to emphasize how valuable they are. We want them to be an opportunity for you to actually engage rather than just sit and listen for an hour. So definitely want you guys to engage with each other as well as having us around for some extra questions. So you should have a notification pop up on your screen here.